So is it visible? I am audible. Okay, where I stopped at the hashing. Okay. Uh, so this is a SHA 256 hash. Is it visible? Okay. So this is the message digest. Look at here, hash is there, no? This is the message digest. If you type hello, how are you? So this is the message digest will be generated, which is called SHA 256. For this, you will find some library functions also. You can straight away use those functions and can generate this hash code. This is a 256-bit hash data, or we can say message digest. So the specialty of this hash data is if you make a small change also in the original data, this hash value will be changed. For example, here I have kept a full stop at the end of the statement. Now I am trying to remove this. Let will see whether there is a change in the hash function or not, hash value or not. So for easy recognition, we'll see here 9972 is the ending number. We'll see whether the same 9972 will be available once I remove the uh, full stop. So here there is no 9972, but you got different hash E888. You got it. That means even a small change in the original text, okay, will change the hash value. So thereby you can identify that whether the data has been tampered or not. Whether the data is tampered or not, easily you can recognize with the help of hash function. So this hash function will help you to maintain the integrity of the original data. This particular data's integrity can be maintained with the help of this hash function. Now, I hope by this time you come to know what is meant by hashing. It will take any length data. Uh, for example, I have taken this is the message. Copy it and just I'm pasting here. Any length message, but it will generate always a 256-bit length uh, data. No, sorry, hash code, or which is called as message digest. So this is what the beauty of hash function. If you even though you change make any small change in, even though it is a huge data, even though you make a small change. For example, I am removing the letter G. So here in this I am removing this letter G, but you look at the hash value was changed. That means irrespective of the size of input, it always produces a 256-bit data message address. So by taking this into consideration, if you look at our previous example, here Ramu's address and Gopal's address amount to be sent, that was written in a transaction. Now I am putting this transaction onto the hash function, this SHA-256 hash function. So it will give you a hash code. So this hash code is encrypted using the Ramu's secret key. So Ramu's secret key means only Ramu will know the secret key. No other one knows the secret key of Ramu, because Ramu has chosen his own secret key. But public key may be known to others, but not secret key. So this transaction is kept on hash function, and the message digest whatever you got, hash code you got, that is encrypted using the secret key of Ramu, and that hash code will also be attached to with this particular record and will be sent over the peer-to-peer network. So whoever receives this particular transaction will easily verify by with the help of the public key of the Ramu and decrypt the particular message digest, so that they will get a message digest and put this transaction on the SHA-256. Whatever the message digest they get, they will match with the message digest that they received or that they decrypted. If both are equal, the transaction is a valid the transaction is not tampered, and the transaction was received from Ramu, or the transaction was initiated by Ramu. So thereby transaction is validated and signature of the Ramu is also verified. The reason is only Ramu will know his own secret key. So this is the way how the hashing will be used. Since for the public key encryption and decryption, the elliptical cryptography is used in the Bitcoin and Ethereum for the signature verification and signature creation and verification for both the things. Signature creation in the sense the procedure what I told just now. This is sent on to the hash function and a message digest will come, and that message digest is encrypted, and thereby whatever the resultant they get, that is the signature creation, and the signature will be verified using the public key. So for this purpose, the very famous digital signature algorithm called ECDSA, which is called elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. So elliptic curve digital signature algorithm is a very famous algorithm used for the creation of the digital signatures and verification. So this will be used by both Bitcoin and Ethereum for signature creation and verification. In this way, you can achieve the properties of the cryptography such as integrity and non-repudiation. Anyhow, with the help of the public key and secret key with the encryption algorithms, you will get the properties that is such as confidentiality and authentication can be satisfied. So these are the way. This is the way how the first two will work. Any doubts so far? Any doubt? Okay. Next, we will move on to the next step, which is called reaching consensus. We all know that Bitcoin uses the proof of work as a consensus algorithm. So, like this, over a period of time, many number of transactions will be generated. In Bitcoin, for every 10 seconds, one block will be created. During 10 seconds, how many number of transactions was generated? All those will be collected as a pool. From that, on a random fashion, the transactions that can be included into a block will be selected. That means you cannot assure that the transaction that was created first in that particular 10 minutes period will be selected for the block creation. No, it will not happen like that. At the while reaching the end of ninth minute, whatever the number of transactions generated over that particular period will be collected as a pool. From that, only the number of transactions that will be fitted into the block, maybe around 10 transactions or so, will be picked randomly from the set of transactions, that the pool of transactions. That means you don't know which transaction will be selected to include into a block. Okay. So that is the reason, even though transaction has happened successfully, you cannot assure that that will be included into the upcoming block. Okay, that is the reason this is a very huge drawback of the Bitcoin. So for confirmation of the creation of the block, once the block is created, then it is confirmed, and till the time you are supposed to wait at least. So first what you will do is accumulate a batch of pending transactions that have been received from peers on the network. but have not yet been included in any previous block and package these transactions as a payload P. So how they will pick? They will pick the transactions from the transaction pool randomly. They don't, you cannot assure that this transaction will certainly will come into this block. Next, after doing the after packaging the transactions, search for a nonce. In cryptography, nonce is a random number. Okay, search for a nonce n that when concatenated with p produces a cryptographic hash function, cryptographic hash that does not exceed a specified threshold. Here, whenever here where is this? Here, whenever this hash function is generated, actually this is a 256 bit length hash code in which the first bit is 0. Here the first bit, if you can see here, the first bit is 0. Like that, you may use a nonce random number with this particular message. Upon adding to the message and sending on to the hash function, you may get a predefined hash format, such as I want around 4 zeros in the prefix of the hash code, or I want around 20 zeros as a prefix of the hash code. Here only 10 is as 10 is there, only 10 is there as the prefix to this particular hash function. But if you add so many, if you add a random number, or if you add something to the original text, then you may get a hash code with a predefined format of, say for example, if you might have kept a constraint that I require 5 zeros before the hash code. So then that nonce need to be identified and to be added with the data, so that you will get the particular format. So this is what the thing here it is. Search for a nonce n when concatenated with P. What is P? The package of the transactions. Produces a cryptographic hash that does not exceed a specified threshold. That means I want, say for example, first 5 bits as zeros, or first 4 bits as zeros, first 20 bits as zeros, first 40 bits as zeros. As number of prefix bits are increasing, the complexity also increases. That is h of p dot n, that is if you add these two, then the threshold value should be less than or equal to t. Means at least first t bits should be 0, or first at least t minus 1 bits should be 0. Like that, you can keep whatever the combination you want. If some other valid blocks is received before n is found, then that puzzle was failed. So what you are supposed to do is, you can't do anything in this. Append whatever the block received before this to the chain and return to step 1. Then wait for next 10 minutes and accumulate some set of transactions, and a nonce will be generated, and it will be asking a question that okay, find that particular nonce, so that the first 4 bits will be 0, or first 10 bits will be 0, like that. When the proof of work n is found, that means this particular nonce value is found, broadcast the new block including n, so that everyone will verify this to the network and return to the step 1. So that means if you are unable to solve the puzzle, then whatever the block created during the time, that you include into the blockchain. Otherwise, if you find any, if you find the answer to the puzzle, then you broadcast that block along with the puzzle value or random number that you find. So you look at this this random number is finding random number is a very difficult task. The reason is my screen visible? So for example, hash of p and a nonce n will give you some 0 0 0 0 0 some code like this. Now everyone know what are the set of transactions that are packaged here or packaged here, and no one know what is the nonce. This nonce is a very large random number, very large random number. So very large random number picked from a large random set pool. That means if I have taken a random number from 100 between 0 to 100, then you can easily identify what is the random number, because if you do 100 iterations, then you can easily identify that whether the puzzle is solved or not. If it is 500, still it's okay. 1000 also okay. 10,000 also okay. So, but if it is a large one, like in the powers of tens, 12s like that, then it's very difficult. It is just like a, it is just like a, if I throw a small pin in a small room of 10 by 10, so within 2 to 3 minutes, you can identify that pin and you can get it to me. But if I throw a same pin in the big hall of around 24 by 24 or 40 by 40 size, then it takes long, somewhat little more time. But if I throw that same pin in the my university campus somewhere, it is very difficult to identify. So that is the reason. If the search space is increasing, obviously it is a very difficult process to identify the random number that will match the condition that is asked here. So the search space is too large, like 202 power 256. See, in any manner, they will take the large search space. From that, they will pick one random number. When the search space is too large, there is no hard and fast rule. Only thing is you have to go into a what you call kind of brute force search. So there is no order. From this order, you have to start the identification of the random number, and there is a systematic procedure. So that is the reason it is a very difficult task. So that is the reason it requires a lot of computation capability. Look at here, if you use any algorithm like nature inspired computing or particle swarm optimization, where there is a search space. In the search space, if you want to find an optimal solution or a near optimal solution, then what you do is you are supposed to take a long time. See, you will take 250 iterations or 500 iterations and you will stop. Sometimes you may not get it. So for this, you have to have some specific hardware, specialized hardware. The CPU hardware may not be sufficient. For that, you may use a GPU, graphics processing unit or something, for doing that specialized task. But here, because of the difficulty of the nonce or difficulty of the puzzle, sometimes this graphical processor unit or this kind of normal computer CPUs will not be sufficient for solving our puzzles. So for that we require application specific circuits. Here the application specific circuit is creation of the hashing or generation of the hash values. So the circuits that are specialized for generating of hash values are used for this purpose. And this application specific processors especially consumes lot of memory, a lot of energy. So they may consume in terms of watts, okay, megawatts also sometimes. So that is the reason those are computationally expensive. These are computationally expensive puzzles. So this kind of puzzles, hash puzzles, will be given to the miners. So the miners has to solve these puzzles in order to create a block. Once they create a block, they will be given a reward. So the reward is in terms of bitcoins. So we know today one bitcoin is around $11,000 or something. So if they get at least 1 or 2 bitcoins, so obviously it is huge amount. So that is the reason it takes this particular hash puzzle is a very tough task. So that proof of work is in a simple context. I can say proof of work puzzles must be created in such a way that the hash puzzle is very difficult to solve, should be very difficult to solve, but the verification should be very easy. Okay, the condition for hash puzzles is like this: the hash puzzles is very difficult to solve, should be very difficult to solve, and verification should be easy. Verification means the output verification is easy. Here, if you look at here in this example itself, identifying what is n is very difficult, because the Bitcoin protocol will compute this n, and only this particular solution, and the p will be given. This n value has to be identified by the miner. Once he identified this solution, he has to supply this n. So it is very easy for anyone by adding n to the p, whether this required hash value was got or not. The verification is easy. So this is the way how the hash puzzles must be designed. Okay, I may add another hash puzzle like a hash of previous block. Okay, hash of previous block, because everyone knows that what is the previous block, because once the block is committed, that will be added to the blockchain. So what is the hash of previous block? By adding some nonce. So you may get some hash value like 00 something like that, 256 bit hash value you get it. Now I will this, but my Bitcoin protocol, my blockchain protocol, I may design like this. I will give this hash value to everyone, so that everyone know what is the previous block hash and previous block hash. Only thing is they need to compute the nonce value, so that what is the for what nonce I will get this hash value. So computing nonce is very difficult, but verification of this hash value with this nonce is very easy. Okay, so by this time you come to know hash puzzle property. The hash puzzle property is difficult to solve, easy to verify. So this is the property should be maintained. Any doubt so far? Any doubt? Is my voice audible? Because no one is answering. Since, since it is afternoon session, so no one is answering. Okay, I will tell you another example. Otherwise, uh, most of the faculty joined here are family that is married and they are having kids. Okay, if your kid asks to that okay, I want to go out and I want to play. Okay, what is the task you will give? First question is whether you have done the homework or not. Okay, with the homework is if you might have done the homework, then only you are eligible to go for playing, right? So the homework is a very hard puzzle for him. So it is very difficult for them to do the puzzle like homework. But verification of the homework is easy for you, because you will check the diary note, and based upon the diary note, you will verify whether he did the homework or not. And finally, you will say that okay, you did the homework and you can go and enjoy playing. So this is the way you do it, right? That means difficult to solve, but verification should be easy. In the same way, the proof of work means you are asking your kid to show the proof of work, whether you have done the homework or not. In the same way, here also, the Bitcoin is also asking you to show the proof of work, What is this proof of work? You have to find out the nonce value that will give the desired result, or that will give you the required output. So once you get that nonce value, you are supposed to give the block at the same time nonce value, so that anyone can verify that whether this with this nonce value whether you get this particular output or not. So this is the way verification should be easy, because for identifying nonce they are taking long time. So for verification they should not take long time, because verification should be done within what you call a small time. So that is reason verification should be easy. I hope by this time at least some people who are having dilemma of what is this and all may be cleared their things. Is it okay? Okay. So this is the proof of work. Proof of work means have you done the work or not? Show me. This is the word thing. Proof of work. I will give you a puzzle and you solve it and show me the proof. This is what. So you know how the blockchain will have is about. So the blockchain is always like a list format. Many other blockchain platforms are there which are using directed acyclic graphs and all structures and all. But first Bitcoin blockchain is of a linear structure. So we all know that in order to identify a linear structure with n nodes, it will take a time complexity of order of n to reach a particular node. So that is reason it's a linear search based method. It is like just like a linked list concept. Like you recall the single linked list. First node is said to be head node, and after the head node you will get any other node. In the single linked list, there are operations such as insertion, deletion, inserting at middle, inserting at beginning, inserting at end, and all. Deletion at the middle, deletion at the beginning. But in case of blockchain, you don't have any deletion concept. And at the same time, you don't have insertion at the beginning or insertion at the middle concept. Here you have only the concept of inserting at the end. In case of single linked list, the next node address will be stored in the previous node, or the current node consisting of the next node address. So in case of blockchain, the current node will be having the hash of the previous block. Okay, this is what the difference is. So that means if the block I consisting of the hash of block I minus 1, then if you do any changes in the I minus 1 this I block, then I plus 1 corresponding block related hash value that was stored will also be disturbed, because we have seen previously you do any small change, also the corresponding block hash will be disturbed. Once the block hash is disturbed, what will happen? Whatever the next node which is storing the hash value of this block will also be get disturbed. Like that, subsequent blocks will also be disturbed. Thereby, what will happen? This entire blockchain will become invalid. So thereby, in this way, you will achieve the immutability of the records, right? So this is the Bitcoin blockchain block 0. In single linked list, the first node is said to be head node. Like that, in the blockchain, the first block that was created is said to be Genesis node or Genesis block. So this is the address of the Bitcoin's Genesis block. That we'll see how this Genesis block looks like. Oops, you don't get this. Okay, so this is the Genesis block. Let us see this. Well, this is the Genesis block you will find here. This consisting of the fields like a hash. This is the hash value. that is a hash of the particular block. Okay, confirmations, timestamp. This is the first block created by Satoshi Nakamoto on 2009 at 23:45. So here height is 0. Height is 0 means it is the first node. Number of transactions included in this node is 1. Difficulty is 1. I will tell you what is difficulty and all. Based upon the difficulty level, the typicality of the random value will be decided, or nonce will be decided. Okay. And Merkle root is this one. Merkle root is the root hash value of the tree that was created with the transactions that are included in the block. And this is the first version, number of bits of this particular thing, and weightage, size, nonce. This is the nonce value. This is the random number that was used to create this block. First block was rewarded with the 50 BTC. Then fee reward is this one. That means Satoshi Nakamoto has started this block with 50 BTCs as the initial value. Then later, slowly it was developed. So in this, the choosing of the nonce depends on the random number. Nonce is depending upon the difficulty level. Here, the first block, Genesis block's difficulty is 1. So this difficulty will vary from for every 2 weeks. Okay, this difficulty will vary for every 2 weeks. There exists a systematic formula for calculating the difficulty. The difficulty is calculated like this. Bitcoin mining difficulty. The mining difficulty changes for every 2016 blocks. Why it is 2016 blocks? That means assume that for every 10 minutes one block is created. For 2 weeks you will be having around 2016 blocks. That is approximately 2 weeks at the rate of 1 block for every 10 minutes. The difficulty is calculated like this. The current difficulty is equal to, yes, hello. It is there, no? In the Bitcoin website itself, you will find our Bitcoin peer-to-peer electronic cash system is the original paper written by the Satoshi Nakamoto. It's a paper, is there, 2009 paper. You can refer those things. I will tell you, I will show you also. It's a very popular paper. Everyone will refer that. Bitcoin peer-to-peer Bitcoin peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So it is available with the bitcoin.org. This is the website. This is the one. This is the base paper. Okay. Here this is Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. So in this they have given clearly why the confirmation is after 6 blocks. How the what you call fork values will be handled, or how the nonce will be generated. All these things was given here. How the proof of work is functioning. Okay. How the Merkle tree is formed here. Okay. All these things was given in this paper. Okay. And you may also, the one who asked the question, also download this book. You will find more information that was not found in this paper, which is called Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Technologies by Arvind Narayanan. PDF. It is a free book. It is a free book. This is a very beautiful book, and the one who are having any doubt in this blockchain, so Bitcoin blockchain, are recommended to go through this book. And this Arvind Narayanan and his team also launched a course on Coursera, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technologies. It is a free course only. If you want to know that, you can also join that course, and chapter wise explanation is there. Lecture videos also there in the coursera.org. You may join as an audit course or free. If your institution is considering Coursera, then you may also log in with your institution website, institution email ID, and you can go through that. See, this is the this is a book of around 308 pages. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technologies, Arvind Narayanan and their team, they have given the clear from the beginning of the electronic cash to the Bitcoin, and they have gone deep of the Bitcoin and how the Bitcoin macros will work. Everything they have clearly mentioned in this. The formula what I am showing now was taken from this book only. Okay, right? So everyone, please note this book. Download them. Download this book. Arvind Narayanan, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technology. If you type this name also, you will get a PDF in the Google. Okay. And the same Arvind Narayan also have a course on Coursera with the same title, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technologies. So you may also register in that course, and you may also download the resources provided by them, and you may use for teaching purpose. Okay, first I started this in 2017, when it is launched. So I have gone through this course. Then I come to know I have so many doubts at the time because it's a completely new how it was happened and all. So then many of my doubts were cleared once after taking two times of to the MTech students. Many of the doubts were cleared. So obviously many doubts will be cleared once you start teaching. So I hope this doubt was cleared. Right. Next, the current difficulty is equal to previous difficulty. For example, after Genesis block, next block we are going to create. So Genesis block difficulty is 1 into milliseconds in 2 weeks. How many number of milliseconds are there in 2 weeks by milliseconds to mine the last 2016 blocks. For example, to mine one block, they took 1 millisecond. Like that, they have taken 2016 blocks. For 2016 blocks, how many milliseconds was spent to mine those blocks? Okay, so milliseconds in 2 weeks by that one. So obviously, this will become to a big figure. This is a very big figure now, right? So you look at from first difficulty 1 to all of a sudden it was raised like anything, right? So based upon this difficulty level, the nonce complexity increases or the puzzle complexity increases. So that is the reason till in 2000 till 2009-10 also people used to mine using CPUs only. But because of this rise in difficulty in 2011, 12, 13 years, people these miners have used graphical process units. Then still the difficulty levels are rising. Then from 14 onwards, they started using this ASIC computers, application specific computers. So if you look at this is a rack of you can see here mining hardware. It is a sample which is taken in 2015, and this sample is also available in the same book that I have mentioned. So this ASIC application specific integrated circuit rack of see it's a stack of ASIC processors linked to each other in a parallel way was connected to a computer, and that was guarded with a special inverter. Okay, some special power supply mechanism is there. So this maintaining hardware is very difficult task. At the same time, purchasing and maintaining is also a costly effect, costly task. So that is the reason it is very difficult for anyone to maintain this. The reason is based upon the difficulty. Based upon this difficulty, the hash rate is also to be calculated. So hash rate versus difficulty, because in order to compute the hashes that has to meet a particular condition, like first 20 bits are zeros or 10 bits are zeros, how many number of hashes you need to generate so that it will match the given condition. So that is the reason hash rate is equally important. So as the difficulty increases, how the hash rate also required hash rate also increases. That we are going to see in this. Again, the same these points I have picked from the same book, Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Technologies by Arvind Narayanan. But they have given as a complete theoretical man. But I have taken the points, core points, and presenting here. Hash is a random number between 0 and 2 power 256 minus 1. The reason is the Bitcoin uses SHA 256 hash function. Okay, and please remember Bitcoin uses a double hashing method, not single hashing method. That means whatever the transaction was kept on SHA 256, you will get 256 bit hash code. Again, that hash code is sent to again SHA 256, you will get second hash code. Okay, that second hash code will be used, not the first hash code. So thereby it is providing great security. 2 power 66, 2 power 256, 2 power 256, right? That much security it is providing. So Bitcoin uses what? It uses double hashing, double 256, SHA 256 hashing. So hashing is a random number between 0 and 2 power 256. Basically, Bitcoin. Okay, please mute yourself. So the Bitcoin have the condition that you have to identify a nonce so that will produce first 48 bits are considered as zeros. That means among 256 bits of the message digest, first 48 bits should be zero. That means the difficulty, it is very difficult to identify such a constraint. Okay, madam, please mute them. Okay, so first 48 bits. So 0xFFF means the possible values are 0xFFF. That means all ones into 2 power 208. But first 48 bits are 0, so that is reason 48 bits are deducted from the 256. So you got 208 here. If you have a difficulty level D, that means after computing this difficulty, you got a D value, difficulty value. Then the offset for difficulty level D is 0xFFF into same 2 power 208 by D, by the difficulty value. What is the difficulty value you got here will be used here to do this. Next is the expected number of hashes to be calculated to find the difficulty level with D is, because among the possible 256 bit hash code into difficulty by ignoring the first 48 bits, whatever the hashes you got, that you are supposed to divide by that you are supposed to divide. So thereby D into 2 power 256 by 0 into FFFF into 2 power 08. This comes to be a very huge number. It may go for giga hashes per second. Sometimes it may go for giga tera hashes per second also. So that means your processor is should be capable of computing that many number of hashes per second to identify the nonce value that satisfies the given condition. That means CPU is not sufficient, because if your CPU is of 2.4 gigahertz processor, then time is equal to 1 by frequency. That means 1 by 2.4 gigahertz. That means that many number of instructions can be executed per second. But you require tera hashes sometimes. That means your CPU may not sufficient for that, or GPU may also may not be sufficient for that. So the reason you require special hardware. So this is what the thing called hash rate versus difficulty. So if you look at um, that is the reason one a particular miner purchasing the huge hardware is a very difficult task. That is the reason what they do is two, three, or some group of miners are who are having their hardware will combine together and will work in a coordination called that particular thing is called mining pool. Means a pool of miners will sit together and will try to solve the hash puzzle based upon the block creation, and block based upon the block creation, whatever the reward they will get, they will share among themselves based upon the work they did, or the hardware they use for the for the identification of the nonce. So those are said to be mining pools. So here after this we'll see mean time to find a block is 10 minutes by fraction of hash rate of a miner. If the hash rate is too high, obviously it is very easy for very within a small time you can identify the block. So that reason this in order to maintain this hash rate, fraction of the hash rate, people will go into the mining pools. The mining pools will be like this. It is just like a pool organizer will be there, under which several miners will take a contract and will join with this mining pool manager or pool organizer. Under one pool organizer, there may be thousands or hundreds and thousands of miners. They can communicate via special protocols for mining purpose. So, so, so whenever a new block is to be created, first the pool organizer will receive this particular new block to be created with the question such as number of leading zeros. How many number of leading zeros was asked as a solution, and is there any optimal solution to be identified uh, in, instead of the nonce value? Only nonce value to be identified, or any other near optimal solution can be also be identified? This kind of things will be given by the pool organizer to the miners. Based upon these instructions, the miners will start performing their mining task, and these miners will communicate among themselves regarding the progress of the values, progress of the nonce value or the corresponding optimal solution value. Then whenever they reach any, whenever they got any, or we can say whenever they get any correct nonce, then immediately they will intimate to the pool organizer, and the block will be created and they will get the reward. So once once they will get the reward, they will share themselves based upon their previous terms and conditions. Mostly, many of the pool organizers will be having a pool fee. Pool fee in the sense, it's just like a commission. Whatever the reward they will get after sharing, whatever is there, some commission they will take it for the by the pool organizers. So if they get any reward, that is called mining fee, and that mining fee will be shared in the mining pool. In the For that, what they will do is let B is the block reward minus pool fee. That means if the block reward is around 3 BTC bitcoins, some mining pool fees is of around 0.5 BTC. Then that will be deducted in the beginning itself. So if they identify, if the miner identifies the block, then the 2.5 BTCs will be shared based upon their prior agreements, and the probability of finding a block in a pool with the block difficulty D is 1 by D. If the difficulty is too high, then the probability is also very low to identify a block. So everything is depending upon the difficulty level. If the difficulty increases, the probability decreases. The probability of identifying the block is decreases. So based upon these two, there are several what you call mining fee sharing algorithms are available. Like I'm not going in details of the sharing algorithms, but I will tell you what are those sharing algorithms, such as pay per share, or proportional sharing algorithm, or pay per last n share. Depending upon the last n successes, the reward will be given, some equal distribution will be given. So like that, so many other contracts are there. These particular terms and conditions will also vary depending upon the difficulty levels, and as the hardware they invest, and many other factors are there. So this is the way how the mining pools work, and I will show you one thing here. Um, Bitcoin mining pool. Let us see what are the various mining pools available. You look at here, many of the mining pools are concentrated in China. You look at many of the, it was very surprising that China has around 81% of the mining pools. Czech Republic 10%, Iceland 2%, Japan 2%, Georgia 2%, Russia 1%. But you look at it, almost China is leading this mining mining pools. So, so this is the pool concentration in China. Okay. So many people are there who are many miners are there who are at the edge of China, just above the what you call Myanmar border and these areas. Especially they used to do this particular tasks. Uh, so the biggest mining pool is Poolin. 17.7% mining operations will be done by this Poolin company or Poolin group. Next is F2 pool and BTC.com, and these are the various different percentages of the pool capacity they have. So you look at the popular pools like Pooling or F2 pool or BTC.com or Ant pool. All these top pooling organizations are available with China via BTC or one key hash, T8 Bitcoin, etc. So, any doubts so far? So please respond. So please respond, otherwise I cannot go further. Is it clear so far? Okay. So, for that reason, okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll go for some more things that are somewhat eye openers for us, like whether the Bitcoin is good or not. See, all are available online. Just uh, I am placing this particular URLs in a notepad file. and after completion of the session, I will upload them, and you can also download them, and you can see afterwards. See, this is the one who wants to study Bitcoin must read this paper first. This article, Bitcoin, the new Hawala. So this particular this particular article was written to the Economic Times, which is India's somewhat leading newspaper in the economics and other financial aspects. This article was written by Anantu Biswas and Professor Bimal Roy. Professor Bimal Roy sir is the retired director of Indian Statistical Institute. We all know that Indian Statistical Institute will supply the all the statistics and other things to the finance ministry, government of India. So his scholar Anantu Biswas has written this, and Bimal Roy sir both have written this article. This article was written in June 2014, June 14, 2017. So this was written. This has taken out many hidden things. Like for example, if you look at have you recalled or not, one major reform in our India, that is demonetization, was held in the 2006 November 9th, I think so. Okay, so 9th November 2016. So they have, in this article they have articulated how the Bitcoin price before the demonetization and after the demonetization. So they have shown the key observations like this. The Bitcoin's popularity in India has grown after demonetization. At the time of its announcement in November, the price of one Bitcoin in India was around $757. It was lingering between 866 and 896 during the early days of demonetization. That means in the month of November 2016. It reached 1020 within 18 days after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced demonetization on November 8. That means by 24th November, it reached to $1,020. One Bitcoin is equal to $1,020. The Bitcoin was valued around 770 in the US in the same day. See, this is quite interesting finding given by this particular article. And on May 27th, 2017, the market price of Bitcoin reached to, this is an almost 300 to 400% hike. Okay, this is $2,096. One Bitcoin is equal to. There has been a clear surge in Bitcoin transactions after demonetization. See, this is a eye opener fact for the government. On the same year, in 2017, I have attended a workshop conducted by the Cryptology Research Society of India, the one which will conduct every year workshops and practical workshops and conferences. So, as a member of that society, I have also attended a workshop. In that keynote address, Professor Bimal Roy sir has came, and he said that after writing this article, he received many abusive mails and phone calls. Then this particular article was attracted by created attention of the ED and Enforcement Directorate and NSA, and they called him for giving more clarity on this. And he said that tomorrow I am leaving to this ED office so that I will present what more things are there in this. So this is the eye-opening thing, right? So after that, the government has formed some expert groups, and what they did is, if you look at 2018, this was happened in 2017, and in 2018 budget session, 2018 budget session, then Finance Minister Sri Arun Jaitley settles the Bitcoin issue for once and for all. The government has considered that Bitcoin is not a legal tender in India. They have clearly, for the former finance minister in during the budget sessions, he announced that this is on February 2nd February 2018, because 1st February 2018 on the in 2018 the budget was announced. In that, the finance minister clearly announced that Bitcoin is not a legal tender in India, because they realized that if they allow Bitcoin, then all the efforts that was kept with the demonetization will be going to waste. So that reason they have they have clearly mentioned that it is not a legal tender in India. See, if you look at the previous article, in this, look at here. In this, quite interesting thing is, so these are the, according to the US Treasury, the Bitcoin is a decentralized virtual currency. There are some exchanges which may be treated as a mints or a central bank, which are mainly located in China, Hong Kong, and Russia. See, it is again another eye opener. So just in previously only we have seen here mining pool. How many are there in mining? How many are there in? How many mining pools are there in China? So many are there. Okay. China, Hong Kong, and Russia, right? So Hong Kong means again it is under this leadership, and Russia. These are the different leaderships over here. So this is a clearly eye opener. I think you might have also faced this kind of marketing, Bitcoin marketing in 2016 after demonetization. The people might have come to you and asked you to invest in Bitcoins. It is they are having a huge, very good boom, and you will get good returns and all. So many things. But after 2018 budget, no one is coming to you for investing into the Bitcoin. The reason is they have clearly mentioned that it is not a legal tender in India. The good and good and both good and bad thing in the thing is that since it is a democratic country, anyone can go to the court and can file a case that why my right of trading cannot be violated and all the things. So some group of people might have filed a case in Supreme Court. Then in this year, what happened is a surprising thing was happened here. See, all these are available in the internet. You can go and search. SC allowed, that is Supreme Court allowed trade in cryptocurrency. Again, I am taking from the Economic Times only. Supreme Court allowed trade in cryptocurrency crashes RBI curve. This is excellent. So that means I don't know where the fault is, whether RBI has not kept the good lawyers or what, I don't know. But crashes RBI curve. This is super. So this is March 4th. This is on 4th March 2020. Everyone busy in knowing coronavirus. That time we got this this particular decision. The Supreme Court on Wednesday struck down the curb on cryptocurrency trade in India. SC rules the curb on cryptocurrency trade illegal. The report said that while adding that the order lifted ban on trading in virtual currency, cryptocurrency, and bitcoins. Now, then onwards, I hope so. From past 2 3 months, you people are listening again. Invest in bitcoins, invest in cryptocurrencies and all. So this is what the thing happened. I don't know the consequences and all, but it is a serious disaster if they announce. But still, RBI has not given any current guidelines of trading the bitcoins and all or cryptocurrencies. The RBI guidance has to come out. We'll see after RBI guidance how to do this cryptocurrencies and all. Okay, any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? Okay, fine. So this is up to the participants whether to trade the virtual currencies or not. Um, it is just like there are so many other wallets available for the Bitcoin currencies. At the same time, the Bitcoin blockchain organization itself providing the wallets. You use whatever the wallet you like, but you use only. My recommendation is use the genuine wallets because the wallet is just like your UPI payment. The government and RBI has released a UPI app called Bheem, Bharat Interface for Money. Like that, there are so many other things like Phone Pay is there, Google Pay is there. Like that, so many other wallets are also there. Again, they work on the top of the UPI architecture, UPI payment architecture. So like that, on the Bitcoin blockchain architecture only, many other wallets are there. People, the Bitcoin blockchain has given its own architecture. The application that you may use it, or there are some other applications available. They may use it, but the main thing is if you use different wallets, then if they are private wallets or some other thing, then it may that the content may be compromised or your information will be leaked. There are some other case studies are available how the information was leaked and many bitcoins were gone out. And at the same time, in Bitcoin, you don't know who is trading what and who trade how much, and these kind of details you don't know about. In case of Bitcoin blockchain, it is just like a hawala because you don't know who is sending amount to whom and who is sending amount to whom. Okay, so this is what the biggest thing. That means anonymity is okay, fine, but you don't know who is sending what and how much they are sending and who is taking your money. These kind of things is very difficult to identify in the wallets, and rest is participants and their wisdom to use their virtual currencies or whatever it may be. And by knowing the basic architecture of Bitcoin cryptocurrency, Bitcoin blockchain, you may also create your own virtual currencies and you use it. Because today, if you look at there are so many, more than 200, 500. Sorry, there are more than 500 cryptocurrencies available today. Say all cryptocurrencies. If you look at so many cryptocurrencies, are there, many are there. Okay. So if I scroll down, so many cryptocurrencies are coming. This is around 200 cryptocurrencies were shown here. Okay, load more. If you click load more, then you will get more cryptocurrencies. So all these cryptocurrencies current rate, okay, current price and details are there. And if you look at the Bitcoin price, 1 BTC in Indian rupee, nowadays it is 8 lakhs 53,981 rupees. Excellent. So it is a fresher salary, maybe less than or little bit greater than fresher salary. So if a fresher worked for entire 1 year, he may be given one Bitcoin. So So it is sufficient for him to stay entire year. So like this, every cryptocurrency have its own price, how much it was increased, decreased. So with this, you may also do who are already been in the data sciences and machine learning. They may also download this prices, cryptocurrency prices for from past 1 year and all. They may do some time series analysis on this, like prediction analysis and auto regression model or some other model. They can apply and do the cryptocurrency prediction, price prediction analysis. This kind of things also will give you some good, beautiful papers for publication. So next one is how to trade in India. In India, so far you cannot. Since Bitcoin is not a legal tender, you can trade it by creating an account and by producing the know your customer KYC. So how to buy Bitcoins in India? There are some popular exchanges available in Bitcoin, India. You can go to this WazirX and CoinMom, something is there here. Like this, so many other exchanges are there. It is just like the currency exchanges of foreign currency exchange centers like that. There are some currency Bitcoin exchange centers are there. You can go to these exchange centers and create an account, and you may start doing this. It is just like how you will create a Paytm account. One thing is in Paytm account, if you want to add amount to the wallet, you can do in two ways. One is you may fetch from your bank account and may add it into that. Or once if you create an account in Paytm, and if you might have told to your friend, your friend may also transfer the amount to your wallet. So this is the way, in two ways you do this. In the same way here also, you may also create an account and you may do give in the local currency, and they will take some exchange percentage, and they will add the bitcoins to your wallet. Or if you know anyone who wants to send bitcoins or transfer bitcoins, if you can give your address, then they will send the bitcoins to you. So this is the way how the bitcoin initialization will happen in your wallets after creating of the account. So in order to create the account in India, KYC is required. Know your customer is required. Next is is the is the is the Bitcoin is the only thing available in the cryptocurrency available? No, not like that. You can create your own cryptocurrency. For example, around 4 5 years back, this cryptocurrency has been achieved a significant maturity. Look at here. In Australia, there is a company called Solar Company, which will produce electricity with the solar panels. This solar company is issuing solar coins. That means one solar coin is equal to 1 MWh. Okay, that means it is just like your electricity bill. You may pay in terms of rupees here, but this company uses solar coin as the cryptocurrency. Whatever the units you purchase or spent, the number of solar coins to be what you call the payment should be in terms of solar coins only. That means you may spend solar coins and you may purchase the units, maybe prepaid or postpaid. For example, you may spend some solar coins and you may purchase around 100 units per month. Okay, if you might have not spent 100 units, then the remaining units may be sold back to the same solar coin company on the date on the exchange rate on that particular day. So in that way, this particular transactions will happen. And for this, again, the local currency to solar coin exchange will be done. And from there, this unit purchase and selling or unit transfers can also be done with the help of solar coin. For example, I have taken 100 units as a prepaid using some X solar coins, and I have spent only 60 units in that particular month. remaining 40 units I want to transfer to some other some my friend. I can transfer those 40 units with the exchange of the solar coins. So this is the way how this solar coin uh, solar power generation company is using the coins like solar coin. Next one is Dubai blockchain city. This is another beautiful project which is called Smart Dubai. Um, this is Smart Dubai. In this Dubai blockchain strategy will help Dubai achieve the vision of HH Sheikh Mohammed bin by making Dubai the first city fully powered by blockchain by 2020. You look at here how beautiful it is. If you look at here, they have taken this decision in 2014 when we are struggling to whom to vote. At that time, they have taken decision that by 2020 the entire Dubai should be on blockchain. So how wonderful it is. So that means they have realized the power of blockchain at the time. We people are studying here the blockchain and all now in nowadays, and the AICT has developed the curriculum today regarding the blockchain, and we people are still in dilemma that whether the blockchain is useful or not. Anyhow, in 2018, then finance minister clearly told that we are not allowing the Bitcoin as a legal tender in India, but we will make use of the underlying technology of the Bitcoin, such as blockchain, for implementing the government services. How beautiful it is! So they have realized in 2018, and recently also the Prime Minister announced that we are going to take out the policies of this visiting the income tax officer and all these kind of things. I feel that he also told that, along with the finance minister, also told that uh, the client, you no need to see the face of the income tax officer, and income tax officer don't know who is the client. Okay, again, it is a beautiful task. It is only possible via blockchain. You don't know who is the other end, and other end don't know who you are. I feel this project may be dying on the blockchain. So if they might have done, and uh, it is a very beautiful project. At the same time, this blockchain should also be linked with the public distribution system, so that the public distribution or ration distribution will not go into the black market. So I hope this one recent announcement of one nation, one ration card scheme is a very good idea, because if there is no one ration card across India, then this kind of implementations are very difficult. As I told you an example in the morning session, because everyone will maintain their own ledgers, tallying whether some required amount of ration has been received, or the rice or dal or something has been received at the ration dealer. Verification is very difficult task. So if you have one nation, one ration card, then it is very easy to identify whether it is going to the needy person, or going into the black market. Not only this one, the main thing people usually face is land registration. And anyhow, anyhow, without blockchain also you won't see the registrar. So, but you this blockchain will help you to have the many to curb many kind of headaches, such as climbing of one plot or flat by unknown persons and going to the court, and this kind of things. So I feel this blockchain implementation will help a lot in saving a lot of time and say, energy, and also to increase the transparency in the system. And one more project that you can see here is Singapore Blockchain Bank. Well, So Monetary Authority of Singapore project UBIN. So Central Bank Digital Money using distributed ledger technology. So they started this project for the to make a blockchain bank. So this is also a beautiful idea. They have clearly mentioned the project phases. We are going to develop this entire project in several phases like this: phase 1 to phase 5. So like this, not only Bitcoin and as a cryptocurrency, but there are so many applications. They developed their own cryptocurrencies, and they started using that cryptocurrencies. And you may also visit this site. This already I have shown you. Blockchain Explorer. You can also go to the Blockchain Explorer and you can see the latest block mined and what is the block reward details and all. Well, this is the Blockchain Explorer, in which graphically they have shown the price, memory pool size, latest block. What is the latest block mined around 9 minutes before? Okay, which is of size so and so. Okay, for every 10 minutes, this Bitcoin mining is happening. Memory pool size. This is the memory pool size. So like this, latest transaction. What is the latest transaction held? Now it is 1437. Now here 1437 new transaction was running. So this is the way how the updations will happen, and you can see what is the latest one with the graphically. You can see this. So next one is I showed you all the mining pools and Bitcoin wallet. You can see the Bitcoin wallet. You can I told you this is a Bitcoin wallet given by the Bitcoin blockchain itself, so Coinbase.com. You can go to this Coinbase.com and you can create. You sign in and you can create a wallet, and you can get the things like this. So if you want to purchase the Bitcoin, then you may after signing in, then you can after proving the KYC, then you can go to the creation of the Bitcoins and all. Next is currency exchanges. You can convert the Bitcoin to the local currencies. So for that, local currency exchanges are there. Local Bitcoins. Yeah, here the amount in INR in India, all online offers such. So quick buy. So this is the so here if anyone want to purchase some Bitcoins, then what is the range? A 2 lakh to 2 lakh limit or 10,000 to 80,000 INR limit. So there are some IMPS Bank Transfer India, some RISH 9831, who is the seller of the Bitcoin. You want to sell it, how much, maximum how much you can sell. So some limitations are there. So you can go through this in your free time. Well, afterwards, you have if you want to have small questions, frequently asked questions or interview questions, you can go to this. Edureka has provided a beautiful documentation on top 55 blockchain interview questions you must prepare in 2020. So there are around 55 questions were given, like what is Bitcoin, how the block will be created, just like question and answers. Okay, what do you know about blockchain, and what is the difference between Bitcoin and blockchain and Ethereum blockchain? Okay, these are the things. Uh, so like this, you can go to this because these questions will also helpful for you to teach students at the same time for the examination purpose or some other thing, okay, for interview questions, etc. So these are the things thing in this, and I will conclude this session by explaining one more thing in this, which is called metrics in cryptocurrencies. Okay, metrics in cryptocurrencies. That means how efficient a cryptocurrency is. So what are the metrics to be considered so that we can say and we can analyze that particular our design of cryptocurrency and operations are going in a smooth and efficient way. So, for any doubt? Okay, thank you. Now, metrics in cryptocurrency. Metrics is first metric is block size. Block size here in brackets I am giving the units. Okay, block size is calculated in terms of megabytes. Uh, Basically, for Bitcoin cryptocurrency, there is a block constraint, a block size constraint, such as one block should be of around 1 MB. Okay, so but the block size in Ethereum is different. Like that, if you want to create your own cryptocurrency, you choose what are the block size you want to limit. So block size is equal to header size plus transaction size into hash means number of transactions. Okay, here hash means wherever a hash appear, you assume that is the number of transactions per block, right? Block size is equal to header size plus transaction size into number of transactions per block. When 1 MB is the maximum size, then how many transactions it will fit? Maybe of 6-7 transactions in Bitcoin blockchain. So the reason it is not much scalable. Okay, so if you want to design your own cryptocurrency, you must consider the first thing, that is blockchain. Sorry, block size. Next is total mining power. Number of hashes per second is equal to sum of mining powers of nodes in the system. Okay, that is what the total mining power. If they might have formed as a mining pool, obviously the mining power will be more. So when the mining power is more, you must be in a position to you must be in a position to increase the difficulty. Thereby, the puzzle will be somewhat complex. Next one is internode time. Okay, I told you already within brackets means that is units. Okay, in this units you are supposed to calculate. Internode time is equal to block size in megabytes by b of I comma j megabytes per second. B of I comma j is the bandwidth between the node I and j. See, so far we have seen the consensus. Okay, the transaction distributed, blocks will be sent, flooded. All these things we have seen. But assume that I am sitting in a rural place where there is no much faster internet, but you are sitting in a city where broadband connectivity or this kind of things are available. Then bandwidth is a very difficult thing to maintain between our peer nodes. So I may not be having the same bandwidth, upload bandwidth or download bandwidth like your internet speed at a city level. So this is the way bandwidth also matters in this. If the bandwidth is low, then by the time I receive the transaction pool or transaction pack, by the time if I realize the transaction pack and if I start doing that, by the time somebody with a good bandwidth might have received it first and they might have done the transaction, creation of the nonce, identification of the nonce and creation of the block. So thereby I will lose it. So this is the thing. That is the reason internode time is also an equally important. Equally important. So this will be calculated like this. Internode time is in seconds. Block size by bandwidth between I and j nodes, where node I and j are the peer nodes in the network. Next is system width is equal to maximum of internode time. That is uh, between I and j. Say for example, there is a bandwidth of latency 2 seconds. Between j and k, there may be a bandwidth of latency of 5 seconds. Between k and l, there may be 1 second. Like that, between different peers, there may be different internode times, but the system width is maximum of all internode times. So that means uh, the to add the block to the blockchain, that particular system width will be maintained by the blockchain protocol, that is Bitcoin protocol here, especially in this is with respect to the Bitcoin also. So in order to add to the blockchain, to initiate the next operations, it will wait that much system width time. Then afterwards, it will go in normal way. Whatever the new blocks will come, it will ignore. That is the reason sometimes you may get forks. Next is block frequency. Block frequency is equal to total mining power by crypto puzzle difficulty. What is the total mining power you have? Total mining power is calculated in the second one, that is hash power of all the nodes. Total mining power by crypto puzzle difficulty. Difficulty already we have seen the formula. That is the difficulty, crypto puzzle difficulty. So next is blocks per minute. So blocks per minute is equal to number of hashes per second by expected number of hashes needed. Okay, so hashes number of hashes per second and by expected number of hashes needed. That means with the hardware you are having, number of hashes it will generate, but actually expected number of hashes required to reach that particular thing that to be divided. Next is hash, means number of transactions per second is equal to block frequency. If the block frequency is 10 seconds, then 10 by 60. Okay, if you are reducing the block frequency, then it is fine. Block frequency by 60 into number of transactions per block, that is the number of transactions per second. Probability of fork means probability of having the fork. Probability of fork is which lies between 0 and 1 is calculated as 1 minus 1 plus block frequency into system width into e power minus block frequency into system width. So block frequency and system width you might have calculated in this previous metrics. You might have used this. You might have computed that, and after computing them, the resultant value substitute in this, and you will find what is the probability of fork to appear in the cryptocurrency blockchain. So these are the important metrics that need to be considered while designing your cryptocurrencies. So by keeping in mind, I am giving an exercise here. Do it on your own. Here, header size is 80 bytes, transaction size is 500 bytes, number of transactions is 6, number of mining machines are 6, mining power peer nodes. Here, these are the peer nodes. Structure is there: A, B, C, D, E, and F. A and C are connected. A is connected with B, C, and D. D is connected to A, E, and F. F is connected to D only. F is not connected to E. These are the peer node, peer-to-peer system, in which the mining power of each system is A is 1000 hashes per second, B is 1500 hashes per second, C is 500 hashes per second, D is around 750 hashes per second, E is 900 hashes per second, F is 1100 hashes per second. These are the mining hash generation rates of each peer nodes. Next, bandwidth. I am assuming equal bandwidth. A to B 9 Mbps. Okay, 9 mega, not small b, big B, capital B. This is bytes, megabytes per second. Small b means megabits per second. Okay, so bandwidth megabytes per second. A to B is 9 megabytes per second. A to C is 10. A to D, I am assuming equal. Okay, D to A also same. Okay, 7 Mbps. Next is B to C 6, like that. B to E 10, D to E 7, and D to F 10. So this entire diagram related bandwidth I have mentioned here. Now in this one thing is missing here is crypto puzzle difficulty. Crypto puzzle difficulty, you take the latest blocks difficulty. Whenever you are doing this solution, whenever you are solving this exercise, you identify the latest block and find out the difficulty of the latest block and use that particular difficulty value in computing this block frequency. Okay, so thereby what will happen is it will help you to revise all the concepts, especially with respect to the Bitcoin, so that you will not forget the concepts. If you have any doubt, also you will go to the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technologies by Arvind Narayanan. There is that book, this book. You can go to this book, and in this also they have given the same kind of explanations and all. You can also go through that and solve the exercise. Well, I will upload this exercise. Okay, we need to sign up first. This Wikisend is a very fast thing. Otherwise, is there any facility here to send the file? I will send it. I hope in the Google Meet there is no facility to send the file. Okay. I will send this file within 2-3 minutes on the same link. Download this file and go through the links that I have shown so far. At the same time, try to solve the exercise. Okay. Uh, uh, Bitcoin network, you can also take as general also. Their factors may be different. They might have chosen in case of Bitcoin, they might have chosen in case of Bitcoin, they might have chosen 10 minutes as a block creation time. In Ethereum, in 2-3 seconds also blocks will be created. And you refer the Arvind Narayan book. You go to this Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technology. See, I am placing the link in the chat box. So you download the session 1 PPTs, the links that I have shown, and the cryptocurrency metrics formulas that I have shown, and the exercise and all from this link. The blockchain technology and applications, elliptical cryptography related PPTs, and blockchain links. Okay, blockchain links. These are the links that I have shown so far. Next is metrics in cryptocurrencies. UG AICT is emerging curriculum that I have shown in the beginning of the lecture in the morning session. So all these were included in this session 1.zip file, and the link is provided on the chat box. So you are recommended to download that and go through them. Tomorrow we'll start with some new topic. That is how to install the blockchain platforms and how to work with the how to choose the blockchain projects and how to create the smart contracts and how to evaluate them and other research directions in blockchain and all. Okay, so and at the same time I'm having a YouTube channel also. Recently I started a blockchain course in that. You may visit that YouTube channel, and I have uploaded 2-3 videos in that. I'm regularly uploading lecture videos, at least 3 videos per week on blockchain and ethical hacking. So if the interested may go through that also. So there, from there also you will find so many materials in the links and all. From there you can download them. That YouTube link was given in this text file that I have included in the zip file. So you can also open that and you can see. This is the YouTube channel. Okay, fine. Then uh, tomorrow morning we'll meet with the new topics. Okay. Thank you, madam.